Welcome aboard the Seatbelt Sign podcast. We've been cleared for takeoff.
All right, we're doing another one today, and I have Keone. What's up, brother?
What's up? Nice. Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Anytime, man.
It's
Anytime.
cool.
Yeah, man. You popped up on my TikTok feed, I believe, and I saw just you're a CFI in the Hawaiian Islands, and your photo reel has got to be the most kick-ass out of any CFI in the world, I would imagine.
It's pretty cool. I've been trying my best to enjoy it and not get too caught up with getting to 1500 hours, but it's a blessing for sure. So,
No doubt.
yeah.
We're going to get into all of that. You made a post saying how it's kind of like South Florida where you have a lot of really good weather days. So that's
Mhm.
awesome for flight training. But, man, and you're also a surfer, and that's what I wanted to get into next is like,
Yeah.
I'd be struggling if I did my flight training in Hawaii because, dude, I'd be
Oh,
running into the waves all the time or hiking or whatever. Like I was a big snowboarder, and so I want to bring that up later. But yeah, man,
yeah.
how do you balance going, especially like when it was private instrument commercial? Like sometimes going to flight school sucks compared to just being able to just run out to the beach every day. Like how'd you balance that?
You know what? That's a really good question. So, I actually like aviation was nowhere near what I wanted to do, or I just didn't know anything about it. I had no family that was in it. And I born and raised in Hawaii, went to college in San Diego, studied business, had a job in LA, and it was an office job. So I would be waking up 7 a.m., being in the office till 6, 7 p.m., staring at a screen. And I actually did a surf trip to El Salvador. And when I was there, I was like, there's just I took a buddy and there's other, travelers there, and I met a Southwest Airlines pilot. I was kind of just bitching about my job, just, corporate and,
What were you doing? What were you
just,
doing exactly? What was your job?
I was doing like finance.
Okay, wicked.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was just complaining, being inside all day and just telling him how it was. And he looked at me and he was like, look, man, I work a week out of the month. I make 300K a year. I surf and travel the world. You should look into it. And I looked at him and I was like, you're full of shit. Like, no, you
Yeah, yeah,
you
right.
don't make that much money. Like, you don't do all of this. And so I actually called my dad's best friend that is a captain at Delta. He said the same exact thing. So I was like, you know what? I went back to Santa Monica. I did my intro flight, flew around Malibu. I did steep turns. And I was like, holy shit, forget the money, forget all the travel benefits. Like, it was surfing in the clouds, essentially. So I literally quit my job, moved back home to Hawaii, and I started flight training like the next week.
Sick.
And yeah, so that's kind of how I got started in Hawaii.
Man, I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. I had a similar trajectory as you. I also studied finance. I wanted to work on Wall Street, but uh, I got to visit the New York Stock Exchange. I got to go on the floor 2 years in a row, and I realized that wasn't the life for me.
Yeah.
And I moved to Montana. And while I was out there, I saw some helicopters flying around, and I took a helicopter flight, and I moved home. And I was like, dude, I got to do this. And it actually became airplanes because helicopters are so expensive. But
Oh wow.
yeah, man. Dude, that's super cool. So living in
Did
LA,
you
working.
what college did you go to? Or I guess what's your background?
Okay, so got to school here in North Carolina in the mountains.
Mhm.
Big into mountain biking, big into snowboarding,
Oh,
backpacking
cool.
with all the guys, on the weekends, just going camping or whatever. So got a business degree, actually entrepreneurship. And, thought I wanted to go do this Wall Street thing, but then just something took me out to Montana. I had some friends move out there, and they're like, "Hey, dude, we're gonna be snowboard instructors." And
Oh wow.
I was like, okay, cool, because I actually did that in college, and I was a snowboard instructor. So I thought I was only going to be in Montana for 4 months. It turned into 4 years, and while I was out there, the helicopters I saw were fighting wildfires. So I was like, oh, I want to do aerial firefighting, and
Yeah.
I told my dad that. He's been like a 30-year airline guy, and he was like, dude, you're stupid. Come home and do fixed wing, and then you can do helicopter add-on after commercial. And once I figured out how expensive it was, I was like, yeah, dude, dad, you were
Yeah.
right. And so my dad was my CFI, and we could talk about that because having your dad as your CFI, it's a good thing, but it's also like sometimes you come to blows. But let's just jump right into it, right? So we're both flight instructors, and I wanted to ask you, had you ever taught surfing, or did you ever at least try to teach your friends surfing before you got into aviation?
You know what? Every time a girl or a friend would come visit Hawaii, it's like, oh, Keone, like, can you like teach me how to surf? And I'm just like, I didn't. I've done it at such a young age. It's like muscle memory. Like I
Yeah.
kind of had to take a step back and be like, whoa, yeah, you actually have more weight in your back foot, or like, oh, you do pop up, at a certain angle, or like, oh wow, you do look at the wave, from this perspective. And it was just like, I actually learned whenever people would come and I would have to like show them how to surf. I was like, I learned much more.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I wanted to ask you that because, I taught snowboarding, and these are two sports where there is no instruments, right? There is no metrics. There's no feedback other than just, like you said, your muscle memory. And so sometimes, after you've been doing it for so long, trying to break it down to like
yeah.
the beginner level, it's hard. But I wanted to ask you, do you think, having been like a surf coach before being a flight instructor, do you think that helped you in the cockpit to teach other people how to fly?
You know what? It's not like I'm like a fully avid surf instructor, but just that perspective of like actually taking a step back and understanding what I'm doing, that really opened my eyes to when I became a flight instructor, just the attention to detail and how you approach certain things,
Also, too,
being an instructor.
just
Go ahead.
also telling somebody like what they did wrong in a way that they can soak it in and it's not going to hurt their
Uh,
feelings. I think
yeah.
that's huge, is the communication side of instruction. And I just love to ask this because I think anybody who's taught something before being a flight instructor, it's going to help you teach in the cockpit, because just those
Yeah.
interactions over time, like you've kind of figured out how to parcel your words in a way where you could say, dude, you totally screwed up that landing, that was awful. Or you could say, hey, we've had other better ones, so let's figure out what went wrong on that one, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, different types of feedback. And the more I do it, you got to approach everyone as individuals, right? Like everyone is completely different. I have certain students that are outgoing. I have certain students that are a little shy, reserved, and yeah, everyone's completely different. So
Yeah, man. It is neat to kind of tailor your lessons in a particular way for all those different personality types and the learning styles. So how long have you been an
yeah.
instructor?
So I got my CFI in April and started instructing immediately. So I actually work and teach out of George's Aviation. So I
Okay.
did all my training there. We're based in Honolulu, Class Bravo airspace. So it's it's it. I call it's the worst and best place to learn to fly because there's such a crazy ecosystem, and we have fighter jets, we have commercial airlines, we have all the Part 135 operations, and then we have four flight schools all sharing one airport.
Wow.
And yeah, it gets a little hectic.
Dude, that's so neat, because I wanted to
Yeah.
already ask you, in in the islands, you guys have certain regulations that pertain only to you guys. For example, like cross country, because you
Yep. Yep.
can't do the long distances. But I did not know that you did all of your training under a Class Bravo, which is even more interesting, because for
Yeah.
those students that want to fly solo, which you have to do to get your private pilot, now you have to
Yeah.
have
With
these Class
endorsement.
Bravo endorsements. So that's crazy, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember when I did my first ever, because all of our cross country flights are to, over open water to other islands. And my first cross country flight was from Oahu to Lanai, another island. And yeah, obviously I've gone up with my instructor a couple of times, but like when you're in there by yourself, open water, like I almost turned around. I
Dude,
was so scared. I was a little nervous, and I was just like, "Nah, let's just do it." But
Dude,
yeah,
it doesn't even have to be the open water, man. I remember on my first cross country solo, I turned back. I was halfway through my first leg, and I saw like the smallest little wispy stratus clouds, and I
yeah,
was like, oh, if I can't see the ground, then I can't navigate. I have to go back, right? So,
yeah, yeah.
but also being over open water, I'm sure it's like dang, dude, if I go down out here,
Yeah.
how are they gonna find me?
I almost turned back. I was 80% to that decision, but nah, we got it done. But
Dude,
yeah.
that's cool, man. So let's rewind really quick and just so you know, you quit everything. You made a
hmm
big decision, a big change in your life, and you're like, I'm going back to Hawaii. I'm gonna basically start over from zero. Um,
Yeah.
how was that, man? How was going through private pilot? Was it, would you say, really challenging, or did you breeze right through it?
You know what? I sort of went full in. I 4 years of studying business finance. I had 3 years of working at a really good firm in LA, and I quit absolutely everything, moved back home, and told myself I'm getting this done as soon as possible, as quick as possible. And so I moved back home October of 2023, and I got my private pilot license April of 2024.
Dang, bro, good for you.
So was that like 6 months?
Something like that.
And I was just, yeah, I was trying my best, studied every day. Um, yeah, and I kind of just, yeah, made my decision, made my life around, okay, I want to be a pilot. So
Good, dude. Good. You got the bug, and it really was running through your veins. I ask about
yeah.
private because it took me about a year and a half, and part of that was me dragging it out, and then another part was just
Mhm.
life. And I was working in accounting at all through my training, and I switched through different aircraft. But for the people that
Yeah.
are struggling out there with private, I try to reason with everybody, and I say, look, this is the hardest one because after that, you're a pilot.
Oh
Everything
yeah.
else is just going to be the compounding snowball effect, right? Like, yeah, instruments tough, but guess what? When you're tired of shooting approaches, you can still just jump in a plane and fly VFR and go have fun with your friends, you know? So
Yeah,
that's why private,
absolutely.
I think, is still the hardest. Um,
I remember when I first got my private pilot license, I was so excited. I was gonna bring my dad up flying, and I took him out to Lanai, and then on the way back, it was gusting like 25 knots, and it was super windy, and I was kind of nervous. And I look over to my right, and I have a picture of this I could send you, but my dad was knocked out, like sleeping, and I'm like, dude, come on, man, like this is supposed to be a special flight, and you're sleeping over there.
Man, sometimes,
Yeah.
those airplanes, they just lull you to sleep. I'm kind of the same way, man. And to the
Yeah,
point
yeah.
where anytime I was a passenger on a flight during my training and I would just go fall
Mhm.
right asleep, I was like, dang, maybe I'm not supposed to be a pilot, because these things put me to sleep so fast. Dude, that's
Yeah.
hilarious. Did you take a picture of him snoozing?
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah.
I took a whole video of him.
That's nice, dude. That's nice. So my next question was, you've kind of already answered it. I've dreamt because I've had some friends that were living, and I'm so bad about knowing the different islands, and I apologize. I know that
Yeah.
I think Kauai, I've been told, is like the best for backpacking and trails, and it's like kind of the most wild. Is that
Yeah.
is that true?
They have the Nepali coast. I haven't so it's funny you say that. My best friends are actually there right now camping, and
Okay.
they're doing the backpacking trip.
Yeah.
I haven't done it personally. I've flown over the Nepali
Oh
coast,
yeah.
but if you're a backpacker, if you like camping, if you like to be out there in the rural, like that's the mission to
That's the
go to.
spot.
So Nepali coast, Kauai.
Dude, it's on my bucket list because I've had some friends, like one guy was just out there living on a farm for 6 months, and then another buddy,
Yeah.
he had a sick job, and during COVID, him and his wife were like, yo, we're just going to go pick an island, and they stayed in Hawaii for like 3 months, I think, and they did 3 different islands or something like that.
Oh
So
wow.
when I talk to my friends that are doing these wild adventures, I want to go pick up the VFR section of Hawaii, and I've sat there and daydreamed on ForeFlight, could I just go and rent, say, like a 172 and just hit all the islands? Is that possible?
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
That's
sick.
like my job. We get tour flights all the time, and we we just kind of cover of like where do you want to go, what do you want to see, and we make a flight plan and we go do it. And my favorite route is actually from Hawaii to Molokai. They have a airport on the North Shore, and going from there to Hana in Maui, and then just coming back. Yeah,
Dude,
but
just the fact that you get to see all that beautiful stuff from the air. I mean,
Yeah.
Obviously, we're not trying to tell anybody to do anything reckless, but are there some times where you can dip into the valleys and kind of fly through some cool stuff, or you mostly stay
I've done
over?
that actually. I've done that once. My buddy, so the Nepali coast was actually one of the recent videos I posted. I I was I was kind of a new private pilot, and he had his commercial. His family's from Kauai. He's done this route so many times. He actually took me between a valley and flew over Nepali. Um, that was just amazing, and yeah,
Dude,
he was basically flying, and I was kind of just watching. But yeah, that was a cool experience.
that's so sick, man, and it's totally a bucket list dream of mine. So now I'm gonna pursue it. I've seen like a couple of places online where you can maybe rent like a Cirrus or like a 172 or something like that, but
Mhm.
it's hardcore. Definitely, I'm doing that shit the minute I get some money. um, so talking money, how
Yeah.
expensive is it out there? Because everybody says like groceries and things are already expensive because everything has to be imported like to the island. So what does Avgas cost you?
Uh, I don't really know about Avgas. The school handles that, but in terms of rate of renting the plane, having an instructor for a six pack, just a regular standard Cessna 172, that's gonna be 220 an hour,
Oh,
and
okay.
then there's a $60 instructor's fee, so about 280 an hour. We also have a G1000 plane that I like to fly a lot. That's 300 an hour, and then yeah, plus the instructor fee, so 360, 370 an hour.
Okay.
Um, I get a lot of DMs, probably like hundreds of DMs of like people all around the world that are just asking for jobs. Like, hey, like, are you guys hiring? Like, hey, like, how much does a CFI make out there? And I just, yeah, they get thrown off when they see like, oh, like how much it is to rent the place here or how much a CFI makes, and it kind of scares a lot of people away.
Heck yeah, man. There's one really big YouTuber, Swain Martin, I think.
Oh yes, yeah, yeah, Swain. Yeah,
Yeah,
did the Mokulele.
yeah, exactly. And I think he was actually commuting to work while he did that. So like he had a
That
crash
was
pad
crazy.
with like four or five other dudes, and then they had like this beat up like car that would only drive like 2 miles from the house to the airport.
Yeah,
And then on his days off, he literally would commute back home.
to
And
North Dakota.
yeah, like, and it was cheaper to live like that than it was for him to just live on the island. So I know that
Yeah,
there's some costs. I just Googled it. It looks like avgas is only like another $2 more per gallon than it is over here on the East Coast. So nothing
yeah.
terrible. I mean, when you say
Mhm.
200 something an hour for on a plane, like that's what it costs around here. And
Yeah,
I mean, aviation is expensive, dude. Like, there's nothing. You can't do anything about that. You got to just dive headfirst in. You're gonna get some debt. I had debt collectors calling me every day, dude, trying to get their money from my credit cards, from doing flight training. But it's worth it. Am I right?
yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think I've spent around 80, 80 to 90K, and I've gotten all my ratings up to double I, and it's a punch in the gut, man. But you gotta tell yourself it's an investment,
Hundred
and
percent.
oh, like I wouldn't trade this for anything else for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I think I spent the same amount of money, and we both have financial state of mind. You're always running your
Yeah.
Excel sheet in your head, thinking like, shit.
Yeah.
Okay, if I was still at that office, like, what would I be making?
Yeah.
What would my
It kills
401k
me.
look like? All that.
It kills me. Yeah. Yeah. But hey, we made this decision, so
Yeah.
yeah, all good.
So you had mentioned how you spoke to the Southwest guy and the Delta guy, and they were making bukus of money. So I wanted to ask you, would you ever leave the island for an aviation job? Or now that you've left and you've kind of gone back to your roots, similar like I have, I don't want to leave
Mhm.
my home. I really love it here. You live in one of the most beautiful places in the world, and you guys have cool shit to do all the time. And you're also kind of in like a great middle hub of the world for like long
Yeah.
distance travel. So if they came out tomorrow and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna make you first officer at United on a 737, but you got to go live in Chicago, and you got to leave tomorrow," would you do it?
I think I would do it. Yeah,
You would.
absolutely. Hawaii's home. Hawaii will always be my home. It's something I could always come back to. Um, yeah, and my to preface, like my absolute dream is to go work for Hawaiian Airlines. Obviously, Alaska now, which is such a bummer, but I mean, that's what my vision was, right? To go work at Hawaiian, be based in Hawaii, and do the long routes to whatever, Japan, Australia, come back home. So
Wicked. Dude, yeah. So that's neat. The merger, Hawaiian and Alaska. And you said,
yeah.
what a bummer. So what are your thoughts on that, man? Are you worried that like the company culture is going to change a lot? And tell me everything. Tell me all your thoughts.
Yeah, so they're changing the call sign. So I think the last time they're gonna use the Hawaiian, and I hear flying out of Honolulu, I hear the call sign all the time. They're taking it away like this month, and that's kind of like the last like shoot, like they're really it's really happening. Hawaiian's special because like growing up, that was the airlines we flew on, right? We had to go to California or we traveled somewhere else, another country. Like we flew Hawaiian, like that was like our communities like airline. And I have a lot of like mentors and like people working at the company right now, and yeah, they're slowly integrating with Alaska. Like the training for all the first officers are in Seattle now. All the interviews are up there, and yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I totally get it, man. I feel the same way about Southwest, and that was what I flew on as a kid. And then to me, it was kind of a bummer that they got rid of the just, hey, jump on and grab any seat you want rule, because for me, it worked. Like, I loved it.
Yeah.
Dude, so before they moved the training to Seattle, did they do it there on the islands?
Yeah, they did in Hawaii.
No way. They got, like, the big simulators and everything out there.
They got all the Sims and yeah, and
Bro.
Honolulu.
Bro, that is so sick, man. See, I was so curious, what aviation would look like in a small landmass like Hawaii, but you guys just said, screw it, we're going to import everything, and dude, we're going to get it done.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's dope, man. That's really dope. So let's get back to just some more of the flying part, right? Tell me
Yeah.
about some of the interesting weather. Now, you said majority of the time it's going to be like blue skies and beautiful, right? But what is it like the other 20% of the time when weather is sketchy? Is it like,
I think
oh,
what really throws people off here is the wind. We have a lot of trade wind here, yeah. So it's normal. Every day we fly with, 040, 050 at 20 knots, right? Like it's just windy here. And so when people come from like Kansas or, somewhere from the mainland, they're like, whoa, like this is crazy, you know? But yeah, that's just normal for the islands.
yeah. So obviously a big factor when coming into the land, especially if there's any kind of crosswind component. And kind of when you're flying around in those mountains, like in all your beautiful videos, I was thinking, all right, it must be kind of like Alaska, right? So do you guys have some understanding of mountain waves and what it is like to fly around in these areas?
Yeah. So when we depart out of Honolulu, we're like on runway 4 left. We're doing the VFR route, the Red Hill 2 departure, and that gets a little bit close to the mountains by Tripler. And that's probably the most turbulent portion of the flight. And it's kind of difficult because whenever I have a new student or someone new to flying, I have to be like super calm with them and say like, hey, like this is all really normal. This is, we're safe. This part's going to be the most turbulent because yeah, when we get on that VFR route, like it gets bumpy a little bit at like 1,500 feet. And yeah, we just gotta let them know like, hey, this is how it is flying here in Hawaii.
Wicked, man. Shit, my dog is
Yeah.
barking in the background. I'm sorry.
No, all good.
Quick tangent. Do you know what a Piper Tomahawk is?
No.
So it's basically like a Cessna 152. It's just a two-seater, but it's a low wing because it's a Piper product. So I did a
Yeah.
lot of my flight training in that, and right after I got my private pilot, my girlfriend was my first passenger. So I went from Raleigh to Asheville, North Carolina, which is the mountains, like kind of like where I went to college, and we visited some of my friends. It's also really beautiful because we had the leaves that change color in the fall and stuff like that. And it was right around
Yeah.
that time. It was in November. But again, like I'm a freshly minted private pilot, and like I don't have all the skills that any commercial pilot has, right? So we made the mistake of picking a fairly windy day. Dude, just like a 152, this thing does maybe 80 knots ground speed, right? It's like
Yeah.
that's like top speed. So it took us a long time to get there, and we both drank like a large Starbucks iced coffee right before jumping in the plane.
Oh, wow.
And like 20 minutes into a 2 hour and 20-minute flight that was only supposed to be like an hour and 40, my lovely girlfriend was like, I gotta pee. And I was like, oh, can you hold it? Because, like, nowadays you pick any airport and you're like, oh, yeah, for sure. We're just going to go land and take a break.
Yeah.
But I made this poor girl wait all
Oh.
2 hours and 20 minutes. And it was like longer than it was supposed to be because we were facing headwinds.
No
And she's
way.
like looking down at the highway because we basically just follow the highway and go westbound the whole way. And
Yeah.
she's looking at these cars and she's like, I swear they're moving faster than us, right? And maybe they weren't. And dude, like I didn't even fully pull up to the FBO yet. Like I think the prop was still running. She just jumped out of this plane, dude, and just bolted for the FBO to go pee. And it's funny that it happened because now as an instructor, like I teach everybody and I go like, hey, from the minute that we start doing cross country, right? I'm like, hey, look, if we're going on this route here and we're going to go 100 nautical miles, let's say one of your passengers has an issue. Maybe they just have to pee. Maybe they're like bleeding or something, right? Maybe you do need to get down. So it's like I try to teach people how to divert the minute that we start leaving our traffic pattern area.
I see.
Yeah.
Good move. Good move.
Yeah, yeah.
And you made the poor girl wait 2 hours. That's crazy.
Dude, yeah. And that was like 5 years ago. So she's still here. So thank God, right? Yeah. Tell me like from PHNL, like a very basic cross-country flight that you'd give to a student pilot.
Yeah, so we'll do the Freeway 2 departure. So basically, yeah, we'll take off Honolulu. We're following that freeway, flying over Punch Bowl. Okay.
Okay.
Keep going east. You're gonna see a golf course near Kahala on the
Okay.
270 radial, Coco Head. So we'll fly over that.
Okay.
And then we'll go straight to PHNY, all over open water. So that little island, that Class Echo Airs
Dang,
airport
you're
over
just
there,
going to take that Victor 2 airway all the way down.
all the way down over there, man.
Dang. Ooh, that's no
Yeah. So
joke.
when I told you I almost turned around, it was open water. I was, yeah, it's a little, it's a little intimidating,
Heck yeah.
but yeah,
Dude, that's
it's pretty
nutty.
unreal because you can see the island to the north, Molokai.
Uh-huh.
You're literally flying. You see that island and keep going to your destination airport, and it's beautiful, bro. Like it's nuts.
Dude, that is so nutty. And when you can you always see land? Like even though you're over open water, you can still like see some
It
land.
depends. Sometimes it gets a little hazy, or the clouds kind of hover over those islands.
Uh-huh.
But for the most part, yes. Like you
Dang.
can kind of see the island
Dude, so
that you're going to.
I imagine jumping northbound and trying to go to Honolulu, like to Port Allen Airport, or
That's Kauai. So
okay,
yeah, Port Allen. So Port Allen, that airport, I've
uh-huh,
taken friends. We'd rent the plane, go park over there. It's right on the beach.
oh,
So
sick,
we'll have like a little beach day, barbecue, and then we'll go from there and fly to Napoli, which is North Shore, Princeville, like of that island,
mm-hmm.
and then head back to like Honolulu.
Man,
Yeah, I
but
made a
that
video on that.
like that jump looks way scarier than jumping to any of the other southern islands because I feel like
Yeah,
that one is like a big open body of water versus everything to the south. It's like you can kind of hop, skip, and jump between islands a little bit, but damn, dude, going up
yeah,
north,
you're right.
that's sketched, man. So what's a flight time from those two islands right there?
With Kauai and Honolulu.
Yes,
So I'd say around 3.5,
point to
3 to
point
3.5.
or a round trip.
Oh, round trip, round trip.
Okay. So
Depends on the wind, dude.
you're looking at like maybe an hour and 40 of just being over open water.
Yeah.
Whoo,
Dodging
brother.
clouds too if you're like VFR and
Yeah,
yeah.
holy smokes. So, and do you like to do this VFR often, or are you like, nah, let's go fly IFR?
Nah, I like VFR. I like being
Yeah, sick.
yeah, just
Okay,
like the freedom of it. You know what I mean?
that's
Yeah.
awesome. And when you're over that big open water, have you ever had to just drop down to say like 1,000 or 500 feet to just dodge some clouds or some weather or something like that?
1200, yeah. 1200,
Okay,
1300
okay,
usually.
okay,
But nah, nothing below that. Yeah.
okay. And is there any reason for that?
What do you mean?
Like
Or
not
just like,
like not going down to 500 over the open water?
okay. You mean when we get to like the island and I want to show like
No, I'm
my
saying when
my
you're
buddies.
crossing, like I didn't know if there was ever some weather or something that and you really had to get low to kind of dodge something, and you're out there.
If the clouds are low, I'd probably just yeah. Well, I'll pick a good day to fly
I see.
weather-wise. But
Okay, okay, good.
yeah, if the clouds are low, I'd just recommend that we do another day.
There you
Yeah,
go. Nice, man.
yeah.
Dude, I'm so intrigued because it's just such a whole other world, man, and it looks
It is,
sick.
man.
It looks really sick. I imagine, even though you said that you have military, you got all of the commercial stuff, and you have flight instruction going on. Like, it
Yeah.
must feel like a kind of a tight knit community. Does everybody know everybody at all these different airports?
Absolutely. Reputation is huge. And so you don't want to burn any bridges down here because everyone absolutely knows each other. And yeah, just yeah, be a good person, you know.
That's awesome. And you obviously have like the Hawaiian spirit in you, like you're just kind of a humble dude. All right, so we're doing some instrument flying now. All right, we're
Okay.
we're filing, and everything that you teach in. Are you guys mostly super heavy dependent on GPS, or do you do a lot of VOR to VOR flying?
Both.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm teaching kids in six pack and G1000. Um, so yeah, we'll do the ILS in Lanai usually, and then go miss and shoot the other approaches. Lanai Island is typically where we do our instrument training, and I mean, yeah, that's cool. Like you're an actual like IMC, you break down, and there's like a whole brand new island that you're landing into, and yeah, I think it's sick.
Dude, I couldn't imagine because you guys got some big rocks to dodge while you're flying through those clouds. So that's wicked. And it is the best feeling, right? When you take an approach down to like minimums and then you break out and you're like, oh, there's the runway and the 200 feet and you just set it down, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Nothing better,
What
dude.
what I'm trying to get more comfortable in is instrument nighttime and shooting these approaches at another island because I'll be honest, like early on, like yeah, it's a little intimidating, yeah, a little scary to do that, right? Like just get in the plane at night and fly instrument to a whole another island. Um, but yeah, I've been doing that more with students and with a buddy of mine, so just getting more comfortable with that. But yeah, how do you feel?
Dude, I could not agree more. I get scared shitless when I'm flying
Shoot.
through clouds at night because you don't realize it at first. The only
Mhm.
way I know is if I look out the window and I don't see stars anymore, or sometimes if it's really
Yeah,
dense, and you got your strobe lights on, all of a sudden you feel like you're in a disco and you're like, oh crap, I got to turn those off. But
yeah.
I had a wild mission one time. I was in a Baron little twin engine and moving some airport engineers from one airport to another back, and we were going back home. And this was actually, I don't know if you remember Hurricane Helene that really damaged North Carolina. It really kind of screwed up a lot of stuff over here on the East Coast.
Mm.
Well, that was literally to the south of me. It was down in Fayetteville, and I could see it
Oh
approaching.
shoot.
And so we were like, dude, full blast, full speed ahead. Like, we got to get home, get all these people home safe, and get the airplane in the hangar before. Like, we didn't know at that time that it was such a bad hurricane that was going to cause so much wreckage. But I'm
Oh wow.
looking at my iPad, and I just see this big like purple swirl in the center, and then it's dark orange and orange to yellow to like green, just
Yeah.
swirling down there, and I could see the outer bands were like about to hit Fayetteville, right? And I was like, oh crap, we got to get in, dude. And we're in and out of IMC at night, and I was just so stressed. And dude, you're going in and out of like you can't see anything at all. There's one thing to be said about IMC in the daytime. You still kind of have like some sense of what's up and what's down because of the light. But when you're in IMC at night, dude, it's just completely dark, and it's like closing your
Yeah.
eyes. Like you don't know squat, right? But it was
Hmm.
the coolest thing where I kind of popped out and I could see the glow of the city below me, and there was like some little wispy, stratus layers and like some tiny little cumuluses ones over here and over there. And I felt like I was in a dome, and dude, it literally was like a scene out of Batman. Like I thought I was over the city of Gotham. It was the trippiest thing, just the way that all the streetlights were glowing and bouncing off of these clouds and stuff, and just the stress of it all. And ATC kept pushing me further and further south, and I was like, no, dude, I see that there's a hurricane down there. But all these airliners were trying to get in, and obviously they had the priority, and I was just telling the controller, I was like, dude, I will keep this approach as tight as possible, because I kind of knew where the airport was. I didn't have like full visibility of it, and I was like, man, just point me right at the final approach fix, and I'll drop this thing in there. We'll get on the ground. And man, dude, when I got home, I literally drank like a whole beer. My girlfriend was like, hey, how you doing, whatever, and I just like slammed a tall boy, and I was like, in my mind, I was like, I'm not going to say anything until I finish this beer, because I'm freaked the fuck out right now. It was crazy. So,
I'm glad you're safe, man. That's
dude,
crazy.
Yeah. No, and like, never was there a moment where anything was unsafe. It was just, the feeling, right?
Yeah.
You're stressing yourself out while you're up there, because you're like, it's all on me. You're at how many hours now?
Close to 600.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice. So you still got a little ways to go.
Yeah.
And I'm curious too, you said reputation is huge out there. It's a small knit community. So what is the trajectory like, either for yourself or some friends that you've seen around? Because, there's one thing about being in a single engine piston, then the next thing you're trying to jump into a twin engine piston, and then at some point you're trying to get some turbine time. So, how do you navigate that? What are your connections like? How are you making your next moves, dude?
I don't want to spoil, the secret sauce, but no. Everyone has their own journey, right? I mean, we got some 1500, 1600 CFI pilots at my school, and there's also people that they get their 500 hours, they work from Mokulele till 1500, and then they're off to the regionals, or they go to Mokulele, or they fly instruct, they get to the 1500, and there's these cargo operations here. Obviously, we have a FedEx feeder company here. We have Aloha Air Cargo. They're Part 121. We have Asia Pacific Airlines. They do international 121 cargo. And like I said earlier, there's a huge ecosystem here. And yeah, it's really up to you. One thing I would say is they do prefer local people here. They want someone that's from Hawaii, that's going to stay in Hawaii, and everyone has their own journey, their own path.
I like that, man. That's really well said. And I've met some people that have either a charter 135 or a 121 operation up in Alaska, and they kind of say the same thing. We prefer somebody who is Alaskan, or at least is already living up there, because as you've seen, you get a million DMs of people being like, yo, what's up? And it's like, I will hire you the minute I see you standing in my office, is what I was told for Alaska. And I'm sure for Hawaii it's the same way, because not a lot of people make the jump.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually have a lot of friends that went to ATP, kids from Hawaii. They came back from ATP, and they got all their ratings. They're whatever 300 hours and no jobs, and they're like asking like, oh, like, how did you get your gig, or like how do you get in here? And it's like, dude, you have to go see them in person, man. Like, go, if again, I don't want to spill a secret sauce, but like, I would go to the employer's office, drop off my resume, my cover letter, a thank you note, and I'd go bring some malasadas, like a local Hawaii snack, and drop them off. And just got to be there in person, like you said. But a lot of people, kids, are like kind of rude too. They're like, yo, like can you hire me, or like, yo, can you pass up my resume? And it's like, I don't even know who you are, like, but
couldn't agree more, man. And it's something that I've talked about a lot on the podcast or in person with people. I tell everyone, just make a business card, put your name, phone number on there, put pilot, hand that out, make those networking connections like you did. And also, be persistent. I hate hearing people that are like, well, I just filled out the application online and I emailed them once. And it's like, that's all you did, dude. So kudos to you, man, for showing up, putting a face to the name, you
Yeah,
know, and just being polite. It is the cover letter and the thank you note, and then dropping off the snacks, dude. That's how I got every
dude.
job. It's the follow up, right? Because a million people are
And
gonna drop off the resume, but only about 5 of them are gonna continue the follow up and be polite and try to build
yeah,
a relationship.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, I agree. Even outside aviation, just like whatever you're doing, like your own business or yeah, you want to be personal and yeah, you want to just say thank you.
Wicked,
Yeah.
man. All right, let's jump back into flight instruction for just a quick minute. You know, you've been
Yeah.
doing it. You've been doing it for a little while now. How many hours of instruction have you given, do you think?
Around 300.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good,
300
dude.
dual given
Very good.
and yeah, still building it up.
Nice. So you're starting to feel comfortable. I think I'm in the same boat. I don't teach every day. I do a little bit of everything. I just came out of King
Yeah.
Air School, and I'm
Yeah,
getting
you
to fly
told
that.
me.
Yeah, it's cool. It's neat. It's
Are you close to 1500 or where are you at now?
dude, I actually have like 2,100 hours. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Congrats, man.
Thank you, bro. It's been a long journey. I got to do a lot of cool things. I don't really want to go to an airline. I would much rather just kind of like go to NetJets and stay there until I'm dead. So hopefully, maybe one day
Yeah.
I'll get there. But for right now, uh, uh, all the people around me have helped me out. Like some of my mentors, either giving me instruction or just putting me in twins. And this opportunity came up, and this guy was like, "Yo, I'm buying a King Air. You know, can I count on you to stay around for at least a year?" And I was like, "Heck yeah, dude! If you're gonna put a gamble on me and put me in a turbine, like, let's go, bro. Multi-engine
Yeah.
turbine PIC, like, whoo! I feel like I'm kind of skipping the regionals, right? I'm just getting along all that PIC time, so we'll see.
Yeah.
But wanted to ask you, all right? So, as a fellow flight instructor, do you get nervous, especially teaching out of a Bravo, sending kids out over open water? Like, you know, do you ever what's the stress like for you? How do you manage it? Do you ever get nervous about, okay, did I do all those endorsements right? Let's talk about all that.
You know what? So, yes, I do get nervous and I do care a lot. And obviously, as you know, as a flight instructor, oh, well, I don't know how it is at your school, but we only get paid when the engine is running. But yet, I'm putting in countless hours with my students, making sure they're ready. I do care a lot. And also, reputation is, my reputation is tied to them. If something happens to them, it gets traced back to me. So it is a lot, it is stressful, man. And it is frustrating. Like, going back to what we were saying, like, everyone's different. Everyone has their own personality. Everyone has their own work ethic. And I recently had a student where uh, his flying was perfect, phenomenal. It was like on the ground, whereas I was drilling him, I was making sure he's ready, and yeah, he just yeah maybe it didn't come as prepared as we worked or talked about or planned to be, and yeah, he failed on something small on the ground, but like just like stuff like that, like you want everyone to succeed as like their instructor, and then yeah, I don't know.
No, yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. My first two students ever, they were both high school kids, just seniors in high
Yeah,
school. And I had one boy and one girl. And the girl, most girls I feel like are a little more studious than men. Like
yeah,
me for sure. I was not very studious in high school or college, more of a party guy. But this girl comes in and she's like, "Hey, today's my first lesson. I've already watched all the videos on Sporties," and I started like tabbing things in the far end.
exactly,
And I
yes,
was like, "Dude," and she crushed it. And she's almost a CFI right now. We've gotten her private instrument commercial. She just did multi-engine over the weekend, and the other kid, he fell out so quick. Like, I'll never forget. We were inbound to land, and we were almost about to solo him, you know, like he
yeah,
could fly the plane, but he had never once opened the pilot handbook of aeronautical knowledge
yeah,
because we were on final. And all of a sudden, you know, we're maybe like half a mile out, you know, 400 feet, right? And all of a sudden a plane just comes out. I guess they had their radio too low or something. You know, we were making our calls, they didn't hear it, so they pull out and they're gonna take off. So I looked at the
yeah,
kid and he's just continuing. And I was like, you can't land with another airplane on the runway. And he's like, yeah, I know. And I was like, so what are you gonna do? And he's like, and I was like, okay, we're gonna do a go around, which we've practiced, right? We're gonna open
Yeah.
up to the right, and we're just gonna kind of fly another pattern, right? So what does he do? He goes full power and all the flaps up at once. And I was just like, like I screamed in the cockpit. And he's like, whoa, what? And I was like, like I realized why he did it, right? Because we get into this
Yeah.
habit of doing touch and goes, and we just go flaps all the way
Yeah.
up, right? So
Mhm.
wasn't mad once I realized why he did that. And then when we're back in the downwind, I was like, hey man, let's talk about those flaps. Like, what do they do? And he's like, they do the drag thing. And I was like, okay, a little bit more than that. Like, I'm trying to ask him like chord line and angle of attack and how it kind of changes the profile of the wing. And this kid
Yeah.
was looking at me with wide eyes, dude. And I literally was like, when we get down on the ground, show me. Let's open up your pilot handbook, dude. Every page was crisp, like he had never broken the seal on that thing. And I was like, dude,
Yeah.
you can fly the plane, but it's all the invisible
Yeah.
stuff like air and weather and human factors, right? It's like you got to understand all that stuff even more than the flying. And he eventually gave up.
Yeah. Like tying back to it, like yeah, everyone's completely different, and you got to cater towards them. Yeah, you got to drill them on certain things that you don't have to do with other students. So yeah,
Yep.
difference.
Yeah. It is what it is, though. I kind of like working with the people that struggle because I remember that I struggled. And then when they finally
Yeah.
do get it, like just the other day, I was teaching VORs, and this girl, she was struggling forever. And I remember I was the same way right before my private pilot was when it finally sunk in. And you can
Yeah.
kind of see the gears turn in their head and their eyes get big. And you're like, you're getting it now. And they're like, yeah. So that's the best feeling, right?
It's rewarding.
Yeah,
Rewarding work.
it totally is, man. Um, all right, well, last little bit here. So, if you could pick any job in aviation, and they would just say, "Keone, starting tomorrow, man, you get to fly this and do that." What are you picking, man?
I'll do two. Uh,
Sure.
one 135 and one 121. I think the end goal, like Hawaiian Airlines, being a captain there and flying to Tokyo and back and Australia and back, like that's like my dream routes to do, and just international. Um, and in terms of a 135, I would love to fly the Pilatus, the PC-12 for Lanai Airlines. This boutique firm over here, and yeah, they do just passenger transportation from Oahu to Lanai, and I just see that plane like every day, and I fly Lanai Airlines quite a bit for work, and yeah, just yeah, those are the two.
Dude, the PC-12, I've gotten to fly it a handful of times,
Yeah,
and I can tell you right now with no hesitation, go make friends with those people.
yeah,
Keep them in your contacts. Give them some Christmas cookies every year. Because you can fly that thing today. It is not hard. It is a big 172. The
yeah,
speeds are manageable. It just feels beefy, and you flare a little higher. But dude, go get that PC-12, man. I want to check in 6 months, and I hope to see you flying one because they're easy,
yeah.
dude. They're easy, man. You gotta go. You gotta go do it.
I have a flight with them this Saturday. I got to travel to Lanai, so yeah, I'm bringing some cookies and my resume.
Heck yeah, man, dude. That's the way you do it in this business. You can definitely do it.
Oh, that's
There
such a sleek plane. Like, yeah,
and when they
yeah.
open that
Also,
when they open up that back door like a minivan and it's just huge,
yeah,
that thing
you
is
got the steps to climb up to get
yeah,
to the
it's sick.
seats. Like,
Um, Wicked,
yeah.
man, and not to mention that would look a lot sexier than I think Mukulele. Like you'd be
Oh,
flying something a little crisper, a little cleaner.
yeah, man. Well, yeah, we'll see. Yeah, we'll definitely stay in touch. Um, yeah, this is fun, man. Maybe you can keep this in or you can take it out, but maybe advice. I mean, you're at 2,100 hours. One thing I wanted to ask was logbooks.
Yeah,
Have you had any issues with logbooks? Because it's it's a lot of organizing, man. Yeah,
it sure is.
having
It sure is.
2,100 hours logged, and for someone to point at a certain date, what did you do here? What approaches did you shoot? Like, has anyone grilled you, or do you have any experience?
No, not really. one of my buddies is at United, and to anybody out there, I would highly advise, like, thank God my dad did this for me, is buy those thick professional logbooks, the Jeppesen ones, right from the jump, because as a student pilot, you're generally, your flight school is just going to give you that little one. If you end up filling that one up, great. After that, go straight to the professional one, because,
All right.
I'm going to be able to put maybe 6, 7, 8,000 hours in this one big book, right? And then you can kind of tab it all and flip to whatever you want. And so my guy at United, he walked in with every single little item tabbed, where he was like, hey, this was my, the time that I soloed as a student pilot. Here's where I got my private. Here's where I got my instrument. Here's where I got my commercial, right? And he had it all just like beautifully organized. And the people at United were really blown away by that. So, kudos to him. Me personally,
Gotcha.
I'm a lot more of a digital guy. I put everything in ForeFlight, all right? And
I'd rather do that. Yeah.
yeah, and I think that that's even easier. And so just keeping the two, I keep more detail in ForeFlight, but I still keep up with the paper logbook, if I want to go hand it over. Now, I've heard from people that go to like NetJets and FlexJet, and they just gave their digital logbooks. And that's okay. That is a form of logging all of our stuff, especially with a program like ForeFlight. There's some other competitors out there as well that are recommended, but you can also search stuff, man, which is huge. So I treat my logbook as my love letter to aviation. So,
Yeah.
for example, like that flight I just told you about, where I was night IMC and the hurricane was coming, right? Like I literally have like a couple of paragraphs of everything that I can remember happening, right? So when I read that, I can just relive the whole thing. And, like if I wanted to figure out what date did that happen, well, I go into ForeFlight and I just search hurricane, right? And like, boop, and it's going to show me that entry. Same way, like I put every student's name, who I taught that day, just so I can.
Yeah.
So if, let's say Caleb or Jacob, whatever, right? I need to know what day was that, right? And then bloop, because a lot of students, they're going to forget to put entries in, and then you're like, all right, bro, I have it in mind. So me personally, I haven't had anybody really like scrutinize me too much, especially with the digital stuff, because I think when you get to the big dogs, it's not so much like prove to me via your logbook. It's like, we're going to put you in a simulator and we're going to throw emergencies at you and see if you can work as a crew, and show me that you're a good pilot that way, not so much with the logbook. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's my advice, man, to everybody out there. It's a digital world we live in. A lot of my examiners, they prefer that we teach people how to use ForeFlight. They don't want people walking in there with a paper sectional. Now, if you do, that's okay. But, it's a digital world, and we need to teach people how to use this digital stuff properly from the jump, because as you know, law of primacy, whatever you learn first is the hardest to unlearn. So
Yeah. Build that foundation. So
heck yeah, man.
yeah.
Keone,
Awesome,
dude, it's been so rad. What are you about to get into? You got to go give some flight instruction for the rest of your day?
Yeah, so I have a flight at 4 p.m.
Nice.
So in about 2 hours.
There you go.
But yeah. What you got going on? You gonna go watch that movie?
No, dude, I'm going to go cook some dinner and go to bed. I got some flights tomorrow, but yo, let's definitely stay in touch through social media. I'd love to check in with you when you're at maybe 1,000 and then maybe 1,500 hours, and you tell me all the super cool stuff. And who knows, maybe one day I'll visit Hawaii. You'll be my captain on the flight.
Hey, guarantee, if you're ever in Hawaii, let's do a flight, and we'll do these routes we talked about.
Same thing to you, buddy. If you ever wanted to visit the East Coast, come out to North Carolina. We got the First Flight Airport where the Wright brothers, they did their little thing. I take people out there all the time. We have our own little islands, that you can go park. Our runway is right next to the beach, kind of like you were talking. But then we also have mountains, so we got a lot of great stuff out here in the Carolinas. So come on anytime you want, man.
Cool, Nick. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, brother. I'll see you on the next one. All right.
Yeah, aloha. Thank you.
Clear to land, doing 280 at 7 off.